Hello dear children, in the previous class we were learning chapter 3 in EVS, that is solids, liquids and gases. In this class let us learn more about that chapter. So in this class you will be learning about the different states of matter or the different forms of matter. So let's start the class. So in the previous class you learned what is meant by matter. Everything that we see around us is matter, isn't it? Everything that we see around us is matter. And matter can exist in different forms or it can exist in different states. That is solids, liquids and gases. It can either exist in the solid form or in the liquid form or in the gas form. So these are the three different states in which matter can exist. And also I have also said that matter is made up of tiny particles. No matter in what state it exists in, it is having tiny particles. So all the matter that you see around is made up of tiny particles called molecules. And the arrangement of these particles is also different in different forms of matter. For example, I told that matter can exist in the solid form. Okay. So, in solids, the peculiarity is that the particles are arranged close to each other. That means all the particles are packed closely. See, this is the picture of those particles. See here, the particles are arranged close to each other. See, here they are arranged close to each other. They are packed tightly. Whereas in liquid, the particles are loosely packed. It is not arranged as tightly as it is in the solid state. And in gas, the particles can move free from each other. It is placed far away from each other. And because of how these particles are arranged in each state, the matter is existing in the different forms like solids, liquids and gases. As in solids, the particles are closely packed. Because of that, the solids are usually firm. All the solids have a firm or rigid structure. Whereas liquid, the particles are not arranged tightly. They are loosely packed. Because of that, in liquids, the liquids can flow easily. Whereas in gas, the particles are not at all connected with each other. They are not connected with each other. They are placed far apart from each other. See, they are not connected to each other. They are placed far from each other. Because of that, gases can move freely. So, let us further learn the properties of each of this state of matter. First, let us see the properties of solid state of matter or properties of solids. Solids always have a definite shape, mass and volume. Solids have a definite shape, definite mass and a definite volume. That means the solids are having a fixed shape, fixed mass and fixed volume. The mass of the solid or the volume of the solid or the shape of the solid will not change. For example, this pen is an example of a solid. This pen is having its own shape, isn't it? A pen will always look like a pen. And at the same time, it is having its own volume. The pen will take up the same amount of space if I place this pen over a table or if I am placing this pen in a pouch or in a box, the space taken up by this pen is the same. And a solid always looks the same. For example, a chair will always look like a chair, isn't it? It is having a definite shape. An apple will always look like an apple. A car will always look like a car. It has its own shape and it will also take up the same amount of space. And it will not take the shape of the container. If I place if I place an apple in a basket, the space taken up by the apple will be the same, and at the same time the apple won't change its shape, isn't it? The basket shape will remain as the shape of the basket itself, and the apple's shape will also remain as such of an apple, isn't it? So it does not take the shape of its container. So here I have given some examples of solids. Examples are books, TV, pen, marbles, ball, chair, table, etc. All these are examples of solids. Books, TV, pen, marbles, ball, chair, table, etc. are examples of solids. So a chair will always look like a chair, isn't it? Whether I place it outside a room or inside a room, a chair will always look like a chair. It is having a definite or a fixed shape of its own. Then at the same time, if I place a chair in one corner of the room and if I take that chair and place it in another room, the space that is taken up by that chair will always remain the same. So that's why it is said that solid has a definite shape, mass and volume. That means it is having a fixed shape, fixed mass and a fixed volume. The next state of matter is liquid. Liquid does not have a definite shape, but it has a definite mass and a definite volume. Examples of liquid are juice, milk, oil, water, etc. These are examples of liquids. For example, I told that liquids does not have a definite shape. You know that if you pour liquid on the floor, it will pour freely, isn't it? It will flow freely, isn't it? For example, if you pour a glass of milk, or if you are pouring milk onto the floor, what can you see? You can see that the liquid or that milk flows. So a liquid does not have a definite shape of its own. So here I have given the picture of juice that is taken in two different containers or two different tumblers. Here the first container is having a different shape and the second container is also having a different shape. But when I pour the juice, if I pour the juice in the first container, the juice is taking up the shape of this container. If I pour that juice in the next container, in the next tumbler, it will take the shape of this tumbler. That means a liquid doesn't have a shape of its own. It will take the shape of its container. Here you can see that the milk is filled in containers of different shapes. A jug is there, a tumbler is there and a bottle is there. See, when milk is poured in the jug, it is taking the shape of this jug. When it is poured in the tumbler, it is taking the shape of this tumbler. When milk is poured in this bottle, it is taking the shape of its bottle. That means liquids does not have a definite or a fixed shape, but it takes the shape of the container. Takes the shape of the container in which you are pouring the liquid into. But the volume of that liquid will always remain the same. For example, here I have shown the picture of a Coke bottle. Imagine that or assume that this Coke is actually 200 ml. If I pour this Coke to this tumbler or to this glass, the volume is the same, isn't it? The amount of Coke will not change. Does the amount of Coke increase? No. The same amount as it is there in this bottle will be there in this tumbler also will be there in this tumbler or will be there in this glass. The same amount will be there. That is, the quantity remains same. So that means the volume is the same, or the space taken up by this Coke is the same. So liquids have a fixed volume. Its quantity remains the same, even if we transfer it from one container to another container. So I hope the properties of liquid is clear. Then can you name some examples of liquids? Can you tell me some examples of liquids? Here I have shown some examples of liquid. That is liquid soap, oil, water and milk. Can you name some other examples? Very good. Honey, vinegar, isn't it? All those are examples of liquid. Then the next state of matter is gas. Unlike solid and liquid, gas does not have a definite shape, nor does it have a definite volume. Its shape and volume is not fixed. For example, you must have seen smoke coming out when you burn something, isn't it? If you burn anything, smoke will come up. Does that smoke have any shape? No, the smoke is not having shape, isn't it? Then does it have a volume? Volume means the space that is taken up by that object. Can you say that smoke will only take up this particular amount of area or this particular amount of space? No, it can spread to anywhere, isn't it? So that's why it is said that gas does not have a definite shape nor a definite volume. And it is because the particles in the gas are not connected to each other. They are placed far apart from each other. Because of that, the gas can escape to different places. For example, if you light an incense stick, that means an agarbatti in a room, you could get the fragrance of that agarbatti even if you stand in another corner, isn't it? Why? It is because the particles in the smoke are placed far away from each other and it can move freely in the room. Okay, so that means gases can take the container's shape. That means in whichever container you are taking the gas, it will fill up the entire container. Once that is open, once the container is open, it will move off freely. Okay, examples for gases are air in a jar, oxygen that is present in the air and helium that is present in the balloon, All these are examples of gases. The air that is present inside a tire, the air that is present inside a balloon, the steam that is coming out from a hot kettle, the steam that is coming out from boiling water. All these are examples of gas. Other examples you can write as smoke. Smoke is also another example of gas. So children, let us see the major properties of the three states of matter. Once again, the first state of matter was solid, liquid and gases. As I told, solids have a fixed or a definite shape and a definite volume. For solids, always the shape and the volume is fixed. It won't change, it remains the same. Solid objects have their own shape. Whereas in liquids does not have a definite shape, but it has a definite volume and a definite mass. Whereas gases doesn't have a definite shape or a definite volume. It does not have a definite shape or a definite volume. So children, I hope that these three states of matter is clear to you. I hope that the properties are also clear to you. So children, I have shown the picture of certain objects. Can you tell me which are the states in which these things exist? The first one is juice. In what form of matter is it existing? What is the form of matter? Can you identify and say whether it is a solid, liquid or gas? Yes, juice is a liquid, isn't it? What about the air inside the balloon or the helium gas that is there in the balloon? It is a gas. What about rain? It is a liquid, isn't it? What about your chair? Chair is a solid. What about wind? Wind is a liquid. What about a pencil? Is it a solid, liquid or gas? Very good. It is a solid. So children, I hope that this portion is clear to you. Please read and learn your worksheets well. Thank you children.